Today, Republicans in Congress killed a clean drinking water project in Colorado because President Trump told them to. Congress just unanimously approved that project last year, but that was before President Trump promised retribution against Colorado over his false election rigging claims. Republicans largely fell in line today, preserving the president's veto of that water project.
This common sense, bipartisan, and bicameral bill passed both House and Senate unanimously.
It was simple, non-controversial, boring even. A bill to extend the repayment period for a federally funded water project.
In the West, water means survival.
But in Congress, political survival for Republicans means obeying President Trump, even when Trump ordered Republicans to abandon the clean drinking water project for Colorado that had passed Congress without opposition. A project that Trump himself had funded and celebrated before he began promising retribution against Colorado.
The president has declared war on our state.
Colorado's Democrats and Republicans in the House pleaded with their colleagues to stand up for Congress's role, to stand against obvious political retribution.
How would you feel if a project like this in your district, passed unanimously, fulfilled a decades-long promise, and was vetoed anyway? That's what these rural communities are facing. My constituents are watching, and your constituents are watching.
Let me be abundantly clear. It does not matter if your community supported Donald Trump politically. If we don't take this step, trust me, no town is safe. No county is safe. No state is safe from political retaliation by the administration.
What was once simple, non-controversial, boring even, became a high-stakes presidential veto override vote. And most Republicans fell in line, backed Trump, and rejected the water project. Congresswoman Bover told me after the vote that she is not giving up on this project. The next step may be trying to essentially hide that project inside a larger spending bill where President Trump either doesn't notice it or wants the attached spending enough that he'll just approve it. We're keeping an eye on a situation in Portland tonight where the FBI says 2 people were shot by immigration agents today. Tension between immigration agents and protesters are high across America after an ICE agent shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis yesterday. There's a lot that we don't know about this shooting in Portland today. The FBI's local office says it's the lead agency investigating the shooting that involved CBP agents and injured 2 people. Portland's mayor's calling for a stop to ICE operations in that city. State-level law enforcement in Minnesota says they are being blocked from accessing evidence, and the FBI will not work with them to investigate the shooting that happened there yesterday. The Trump administration is sidestepping eventual investigative conclusions on this altogether, saying that Renee Good was the one at fault, and the agent was justified in killing her. Video shows the agent shooting into Good's vehicle. Witnesses tell NBC News that officers were giving conflicting orders on whether Good should drive away or stop.
You have a woman who was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
Vice President Vance's claim that she was obstructing the law enforcement operation and that she aimed her vehicle at deputies, which he says are not in dispute, are in fact in dispute. A number of legal and law enforcement experts have raised questions about the officer's actions and what happened in Minnesota. Good's family tells 9 News that she was a widow, that her husband died several years ago. Renee Good graduated high school in Colorado Springs, briefly attended MSU Denver. In a statement to 9 News, Metro State University said, "We are saddened by the loss of a former Roadrunner. Our thoughts are with her loved ones." Good also attended Old Dominion University in Virginia, where she was an English major and published poetry. ODU says that she was a mother of 3. As the Trump administration floods American cities with masked immigration agents, 2 members of Denver City Council are proposing new restrictions on masks and other face coverings for law enforcement. Next week, a city council committee is set to consider a new ordinance that prohibits local, state, or federal law enforcement from wearing most face coverings while they detain or arrest people. The sponsors say that masks erode public trust in police. There are exceptions for things like transparent face guards on riot helmets or medical masks. Also, the rules would not apply to undercover operations. The Department of Homeland Security has defended the use of masks, saying that they protect immigration officers from doxing and harassment. Doxing is traditionally defined as releasing someone's personal information, such as their home address or information about their families. Trump administration leaders have suggested that even just identifying an immigration agent by name is doxing. Well, we are finally going to see some more snow. Not much, but considering that Colorado is drier than most local newscasts, any little bit will help. CSU's campus saw flakes, plural, this morning, and we have seen on and off snow around the metro area today. At times it was actually coming down pretty good downtown. Didn't even have a good view of the traffic below. At this point, not much is sticking, considering how warm it's been. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi's along now. I mean, at some point, are we going to cool the ground down overnight and it's going to start to pile up a bit?
Yeah, barely. But if you're a snow lover, wouldn't exactly hold your breath on this one. This is our 5th least snowy start to a winter on record for us in Denver. We've barely picked up 6 inches of snow so far this winter. We'll get out of this barely. We'll probably still be in the bottom 10 once this storm is all said and done. So basically the way to think about this storm system, there's 2 parts to it. This is the one that brought us that snow earlier on today. This is the main wave that's going to move through late tonight and to early tomorrow morning and bring us some more substantial snow, especially to southern Colorado, but the Denver area. We will get in on some of that snow as well. Now, the next few hours, again, we're in that lull. We're in between Storm 1 and Storm 2. That snow will spread in overnight tonight and to early tomorrow morning. And if you're hoping for a big snow, I wouldn't, again, exactly hold your breath. The further north and the further east you go, the lower your snowfall totals. The further south you go, Douglas County, I'm looking at you, there's going to be a pretty good storm out your way and down in Colorado Springs as well. The snow mainly done by sunrise tomorrow. An additional 1 to 3 inches, most likely for us here in Denver. In Castle Rock, 3 to 7 inches or more of snow for us down to Douglas County. But in Denver, 1 to 3 inches most likely. Under an inch of snow, 30% possibility. That's if the majority of that snow stays off to our south. And a small chance that we end up with 4 inches or more. 7-day forecast. Weather impact alert for slick roads tomorrow morning. Then we dry out and warm up into next week.
Like that probability forecast, Crispy, even my tiny brain can comprehend it. There is a labor deal to report in Telluride. The ski area says they'll be able to open some runs as early as this weekend after the resort and ski patrol reached a deal to end a 2-week strike. The union of about 80 workers has been on strike since September 27th. They want more pay to keep up with the high cost of living in San Miguel County. The union was starting to face pressure from business owners and local leaders who worried that the closure of the ski resort was creating hardships for working people all over town.
It's the first step of a long road of recovery for Telluride, both to help our locals who may have lost jobs and our businesses that were worried about closing and trying to get everyone back on their feet.
Some runs are going to reopen Saturday, with the Superloop reopening at a later date. Colorado's budget is already in the red for next year by about $800 million. When state legislators return next week for the legislative session, they're going to have to figure out where to cut, and to do it at a time when President Trump keeps punishing Colorado financially by withholding federal grant dollars and relief funds as long as his ally Tina Peters is still in prison here. Our Marshall Zellinger asked Democratic leaders if there comes a point when Colorado will be forced financially to bow to Trump.
Is there a scenario in which the governor should free Tina Peters in order to prevent any more federal funding from being taken from Colorado?
Do I believe that Tina Peters should be released? We are not going to be held ransom.
Democratic House Speaker Julie McCluskey and Democratic Senate President James Coleman seem prepared to have some budget battles should the president's retaliation against Colorado continue. Would either of you go out to say specifically, Governor, do not release Tina Peters no matter the cost to Colorado?
We are facing a really difficult budget time. I would say he should not release Tina Peters. That is my strong held belief.
We shouldn't be doing anything, making any decisions out of fear, retaliation from the federal administration. We should be making informed decisions based off of what we know and what we believe is right.
Is Colorado in a position to backfill significant losses if federal funding continues to be targeted by President Trump's retaliation against Colorado?
Marshall, I'll just say this off top. The special session put Colorado's finances in a better position, but H.R. 1 impacts and tariffs, they continue to squeeze our state.
But neither of those examples are retaliation against Colorado. H.R. 1 is the budget bill passed by the Republican-led Congress last year, and the president's tariffs have been impacting the cost of goods nationwide.
I'm asking about president's retaliation by denying FEMA funds, canceling grants, things that Congress have nothing to do with.
All these things that are negatively impacting our state as a result of what's happened to Trump, we will do our best here in our state within our power to figure out a way to backfill the things that we do no longer have.
Are there specific steps you plan to take this legislative session to protect Colorado from other federal action?
You know, we're not solely playing defense and reacting and responding to what we're seeing, but we're prepared to.
Last year, Colorado put $4 million in a special fund to help pay for Colorado's legal actions involving the federal government. That money came from former President Biden's infrastructure package. It was not from the state's general fund. We asked Democratic leaders today if the state plans to add money to that fund this year. Senate President Coleman told us he's not sure how much will be set aside, but he does want to make sure that Colorado is equipped to defend itself against the feds.
We're in a severe influenza season where we're seeing a lot of hospitalizations.
In fact, hospitalizations are surging this flu season, yet doctors continue to struggle to get folks to come in the door for a flu shot. And the most Colorado thing we saw today is an annual tradition, a wonderful reminder that this will always be a cowtown at heart. Next. The vast majority of Colorado's counties fall below what's called the herd immunity threshold for measles. That's according to a nationwide analysis by the Washington Post. That simply means that the vaccination rate in those counties means that the preventable disease is primed to just run through them if it arrives. Major medical bodies say 95% of a population needs to be vaccinated for the population to have herd immunity against measles. It varies by virus. A Washington Post review found that only 7 of Colorado's 64 counties meet that threshold. They looked at 2023 and 2024 numbers. All the counties that qualify are in the southern part of the state. Like many other states, Colorado has seen a surge in measles cases. In 2025, Colorado confirmed 36 measles cases. We tended to have 1 or 2 a year over the last decade. The state health department told our partners at the Denver Gazette that most of those cases were in unvaccinated people or folks whose vaccine status was not known. Meanwhile, flu rates are at their highest in the last 25 years, and the same cannot be said for flu immunization rates. Those rates are even lower in community of color. One study found what works when folks are hesitant to get vaccinated. Here's our Angeline McCall.
All right, let's see over here.
Being a pediatrician
Normal.
means having honest conversations.
What's on your mind? What do you want to chat about for your checkup today?
Dr. Joshua Williams knows part of that conversation is about vaccines.
Yeah, there's a lot of transmission going on right now.
Dr. Williams worked on a study for the past year looking at influenza vaccine hesitancy for families of color, specifically within the Black community.
We're in a severe influenza season where we're seeing a lot of hospitalizations, already seeing deaths in children and adults. It's a timely study for the current moment.
What they learned is that Black families were 13% more likely to sign children up for the flu vaccine using a study that used text messages with information from people who looked like them rather than messages that didn't.
It's much more likely to improve confidence in things like influenza vaccines, where historically there's been a lot of hesitancy.
The study comes at a time when kids across the country are being vaccinated less. During the 2020 flu season, 50.4% of children nationwide were vaccinated for the flu. Today, that number has dropped to 41.9%, according to the CDC.
Since the pandemic, we've seen decreases in national vaccination coverage among young children of 3 to 4 to 5% every single year, year over year.
And in Colorado, data from CDPHE shows disparities, with 25.2% of white people being vaccinated this flu season, compared to 18.9% of those who are Black, or even less, 7.6% for people who are Hispanic or Latino.
Big breath.
Dr. Williams knows it's conversations that will change vaccination rates.
All right, say ah. Yeah, it looks good back there.
And this study shows the words matter as much as the people who deliver them.
All right, I think you're good, okay? I don't see anything back there.
As Angeline McCall reporting, as of today, about a quarter of the state's population is currently vaccinated against the flu. Hospitals are seeing a surge of people hospitalized with influenza. more than 2,400 since October. Got up early today to see the stars of the stock show prepare to parade through town.
I've had a lot of people say, man, are they coming or not? Are they coming? I say, we'll be here, I promise.
The famous Longhorns almost didn't make it to Denver. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus. And Next is a podcast each weeknight. You can listen to the show without looking at my fuzzy face. Stock show weather arrived just in time for today's stock show parade. As people line the streets to see the Longhorns march through Lodo. Just a touch of snow as the cattle and the horses and the wagons all came past Union Station. I love to see the parade against some of the historic architecture downtown. That parade kicks off the 120th year of the National Western Stock Show. Longhorns made it to the parade this year. Last year, of course, weather kept them from making the trip. But when you're moving tons of meat on legs, nothing comes easy. Our photojournalist Tom Cole went down to Silverado Ranch in the Springs to see that challenge firsthand.
90 miles southeast of Denver may be the real start of the stock show parade. It's down here where Gary Lake,
Slide it back so we got a little bigger hole.
has to load up his Longhorns, the headliners for the parade.
Folks love the Longhorn cattle. They're exciting, they're colorful.
And his broke through the fence overnight.
Sometimes things don't go like they always should.
Gary's bovine buddies added another layer of excitement to the early morning.
And now we have to recatch them, resort, and make sure we get to Denver in time.
This may be more entertaining than the parade. The pressure to get Longhorns, some weighing close to a ton, with horns that can reach over 5 feet in length, back in the pen and loaded up to stay on schedule.
I've been doing this for 45 years. No worries about things you can't change. Get us to Denver in good time, and that we do something enjoyable for the folks in downtown Denver, and we'll give you all the honor and the glory in your precious name. Amen.
Off to Denver, possibly the most dangerous part.
We're just looking forward to Denver traffic.
The 90-minute drive goes off without a hitch. $500,000 worth of Longhorns ready to entertain the city and kick off the National Western Stock Show.
What we want to show them is these cattle are almost lap cattle. They'll eat out of your hand and they'll just walk on down the street and show off and enjoy every second of it.
What a story by our Tom Cole. I love the phrase lap cattle. This is Gary's 18th year bringing his Longhorns to the parade. If you miss the parade, a few of his will be there at the stock show. I'm scanning your feedback. Somebody writes, proud to be a native of a cow town. Honest, raised with integrity, concerned for others. Love it. More of your feedback next. Longer piece of feedback from Jerry. This is thoughtful, so I want to read it in full. He said, water projects like the one vetoed by President Trump are very routine in Congress. They're a bipartisan courtesy. You support my bill in my state, I'll support your bill in your state. This veto and the failure to override it, Jerry says, lowers the bar. Jerry writes, I'm sure that when the Democrats gain control of Congress, there will be retribution for this. That's unfortunate for everyone. Yeah, I wonder how many folks in Congress were thinking ahead to that point during today's vote. See you next time.